I was pleasantly surprised when you tagged me in your post. And I was like, what is she up to? I'm curious, like what, because you've done that several times where you come reach out to me like, Linda, I listened back to our session. Oh my God, I had this new epiphany. And I'm like, whoa, I love that you can go back and it's like, boom, next level, next level. So
Yeah.
I'm curious what was happening for you when that came up.
So I was just realizing that when we were in one of our sessions and we were talking about how much I love ceremony and how I'm so how I've been trained in a traditional way, but I had some feelings around needing to continue to only do things in a traditional way. And the guides were like, you know, you can make up your own ceremonies. And so then one day I was like planning a ceremony. I'm doing all these ceremonies now. And I was like, wait a second. This is what they told me I should be doing. This is exactly one of the things I got out of Linda's session.
That's amazing.
And so I was like, okay, well, I have to let her know and I have to tag her and make sure everyone knows that they can go to Linda for some amazing support around
Oh.
whatever.
So tell me about your ceremonies then. As a result of that, like what have you been creating? What have you been offering? I just saw the last one you did, the 12th night.
Yeah. So
More.
I'm just getting like super creative. Like, who's ever done a Mardi Gras ceremony? You know, like
Yeah.
nobody that I know of. But it was a really big part of my life for a while because I lived in New Orleans and I was a Mardi Gras costume artist.
Mm.
And um, so I got in with this really amazing place near where I live. Something kept telling me to just reach out to this woman. And at first she didn't respond because I wanted to do cacao ceremonies and she does those.
Oh,
And eventually she did, and she got a few references from me. And now I'm just like, I can do, it's like my playground. I can do whatever I want over there. And they love me having these ceremonies because they're different from anything else that they're doing. And then each ceremony is like different exercises. Like last night we did a mask exercise where I asked them to just look around the room, put on a mask and look around the room and recognize everyone as their equal, that we're all related. Because that's what masking for Mardi Gras was originally about. Like the nobility could go out into public and be with the poorest people, and they were all just equal and having fun and enjoying each other as humans. And then also last night I did like a clearing session where I would bring each person up to the mat and then I would clear with the feather fan, because I wanted them to have some individual attention for the new year around that. And it was very well received.
that's powerful. That's
Yeah,
so freaking creative too. That's like your soul expression. That's so only uniquely you. So of course nobody can offer that because it's you.
and it's like I'm being an artist. I remember one of my teachers telling me that it's all about being creative, being in ceremony and leading ceremony, and I didn't quite get it until now, you know. And
Mm.
so I create this huge altar. I'll spend an hour or two just making this big altar with all kind of representations of different things we want to bring into the ceremony, and it's temporary art, which is what I love as a body artist anyway.
I
So
love that.
I get to
It's like
do
you
things.
found a way to bring all of your gifts into one beautiful experience.
Exactly.
So, what, because I know in the past, when we were working together, there were a lot of things holding you back. What is keeping you now in this place of like the idea comes and you give yourself permission and you go with it? What has shifted for you?
I think um that it's not just me giving myself permission. It's like my guides.
Mm,
I've always been able to hear them really clearly, but sometimes you just need support. You just need confirmation from someone, which is exactly why people come to me for psychic work, you
right.
know? So working with you, I was able to hear some things that I just always heard in the background, but weren't so clear.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it was like clarity.
I love
And
that.
I just hear it really strongly, like, this is what you need to do.
And you're like, all right, got it.
Yep. I'm like, okay, I hear you now. But sometimes I don't even realize, I know I get it at the moment, and then I kind of forget, and then I go out my way and do stuff like happened and why I made the post because I realized, wait a second. I learned this through the sessions with Linda, and now I'm doing it. And I almost have forgotten that I was told to do that.
That is so incredible how it was like it seems like a divine timing process.
For
It's
sure.
like you weren't even trying hard. You kind of just let go, lived your life, and then it came to you in that perfect moment of readiness.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. That's amazing. I'm curious if there's anything in your experience with me that you can speak to regarding that process of doing work over time in relation to soul purpose, just so that people can see your benefit of working over a period of time rather than just like a quick hit.
So for me, what happened over several sessions with you is that I kept going back to these past lives that corresponded to what I'm doing now and helped me to see that I've already been doing this all along for who knows how long, hundreds, if not thousands of years, including going all the way back to my original first life, where I was a star on another planet and an explosion happened, and that's how I was created from another star. And then to the life where I was a Native American woman who was basically carrying the burden of her tribe once alcohol had come into, their culture and was really affecting her tribe. And seeing that that is also something that has been a big part of my life, how I've been affected by the people I love who are affected by alcoholism and drug addiction. And then also the past lives where I was a native person in the jungle leading ceremonies. And it just all over time, I could see how even in the sessions I did with you over time, it was those were all lining up with my current life. Like they were all a part of who I was in the past. So of course it makes absolute sense that I am where I am and that I work with native traditions as well as I'm doing my own work because where did all that come from in the first place? Somebody had to create these ceremonies. Yeah, I think that was it. That just over that period of time of working with you, I got to see all the ways I've already been doing the same thing in past lives and how
Mhm.
that it's okay for me to be a white person doing these ceremonies.
I was
If
just
we're
going to
all
ask you about
related.
that because
Yeah.
I remember that being the theme. We did a lot of past life work, and I'm so amazed that you remember all of them so vividly.
Well, I went back. I like study this stuff. So I went back and I took notes on every single one. I think I have a couple left I still need to take notes on, which I'll put that on my list. But yeah, it was just so what's the word I'm looking for? Like clarifying or redeeming or something, you know?
I can you speak to that if you feel comfortable with others with sharing it about the doubt thing with the being white and doing these indigenous ceremonies because I feel like there are so many who can relate to that imposter syndrome with following their own path. I think
Mhm.
from hearing
Mhm.
that shift for you.
Okay. So I still know that in this culture, I have to be very careful who I share with that I do these things. But when I do these ceremonies, I'll put it all out there at the beginning because I want them to know. you know, I do have training and I've been given permission to do these things. But the other thing that I started to really realize through working with you is the main thing we say in Native American and Lakota traditions is mitakuye oyasin, which means we are all related, which is what I've always believed since birth, that every living being on this planet is my relative and should be treated with respect. And so through our work, I started realizing, well, if that's true, then anyone who ever came before me is also my ancestor and my relative. If we're all energy and we all came from the same source, then of course I'm related to all of these other cultures. And it just became more and more real to me that I don't think it's fair to say, I mean, everyone has their own beliefs, but I don't think it's fair necessarily for someone to say, well, those are my people because I'm this color and I come from them. They are your people, but they're my people too. Because if we're all energy and we're all related, then you as well are my relative.
It's like you're taking it to the place of unity rather than like separation.
Correct. Rather than so much about the bloodline because how many of us have families or a bloodline who we absolutely do not connect with? You know?
I think
Yeah,
that's the
they're my
whole concept
relatives.
of light worker, healer, intuitive anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Would you say to someone who is also spiritual but has never done hypnotherapy and is, curious about it or has some skepticism about it, um, can you relate your experience on that?
So I would say kind of what I say to my own clients around psychic work that you can know that it's authentic by how it resonates with you. If it feels right and you are getting clarity, you have a lot of, or not. For me, I had a lot of emotion come up. I don't usually cry. It's very hard for me to cry. But in those sessions, I could just cry so freely. And that to me was like the clue that I'm connecting with something on a much higher level than myself through this that's showing me, that's sharing all of this with
It's
me.
so funny. It's funny that I hear you say that because for me, it's like I don't know any sessions that I don't have somebody cry. So perhaps it's a space where people can give themselves permission,
Yes,
feel
for
what,
sure.
yeah. Okay.
For sure. But whenever I know that I'm in a deep state of limerence, or psychic awareness when I'm able to cry like that, because sometimes when I'm even doing like a seance or a session with someone, I'll start to get really emotional. And that's my clue that the spirit is really close. That spirit is like right here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be feeling this kind of deep emotion because in my regular life, I don't go around crying ever.
Do you want to share um, what you do and where people can find you for your services and your creative ceremonies?
Okay, yeah, sure. So I'm in Decatur, Georgia when I'm not traveling, and that's where I lead these ceremonies. And from here, I'm also beginning to do in-person energy work at Decatur Healing Arts Center, where I do the ceremonies. But aside from that, I also do psychic mediumship and animal communication through Zoom sessions or through private sessions on my own time with the animals. And I'm also a death doula and an artist. And
So
I have a website, visionsandreflections.com.
thank you so much. I love seeing you shining in your light. You are so radiating, and I love just seeing you in your joy and in your gifts and just like doing the damn thing and having so much fun in the process. I love it. I
Thank
love it. I'm so
you.
inspired and I'm so happy for you. Thank you,
Yes.
Rosemary.
Thank you, Linda.
Have a good day. So nice to see you.